This is a crucial offseason for the Chicago Bears. After trading out of the #1 pick last year, they find themselves right back at the #1 spot in the draft this year, thanks to David Tepper and the Panthers' incompetence. In April, Chicago passed on the opportunity to draft CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, or Anthony Richardson, and gave Justin Fields a chance to prove himself. Chicago spent big in free agency and gave Fields a more fair opportunity to prove himself. They even got DJ Moore in that trade with Carolina last year, and Moore was an absolute stud this past season. The problem with the whole giving Justin Fields another year to prove himself thing is, we still don't really know what the Bears should do with him. On one hand, he showed improvement as a passer and protected the ball a bit better, and had a handful of games where he looked tremendous, which is something he's accustomed to doing. As a result, we now have the Bears fan base split on what they should do with Justin Fields and that first overall pick. Do they keep him and secure another king's ransom for the first overall pick? Or do they take a quarterback in this draft and trade Fields for likely a day 2 pick? For the people that want to stick with Fields, I truly get it. I was big on him coming into this season, and I even had him at number 10 overall on my quarterback rankings video last summer. He's been a model citizen, he says all the right things, he's physically gifted, makes incredible high-end plays, and will string together games where he looks like a top 10 quarterback in the league. Oh, and his teammates love him too. Excluding the first 3 games of the season, Fields actually had a pretty good year. If you extrapolate his final 10 games over a full season, here would be his stats over 17 games. Over 3,400 passing yards, 22 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a 92 passer rating, a 62% completion rate, 931 rushing yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns. With a season like that, I don't think there would be many questions at all to what the Bears should do with the first overall pick. The problem, though, was that Fields had a horrific start to the season and missed 4 games due to a thumb injury. With that said, however, I still think this decision for the Bears is not as difficult as people are making it. The answer is draft Caleb Williams. I'm a believer that once you see a quarterback play for 3 years in the NFL, you should have a good grasp on who he is by now. It's very rare to see a quarterback break out after year 3 and become a completely different player while staying on the same roster. Some quarterbacks just needed a change of scenery, like Ryan Tannehill when he went to the Titans. But seriously, try to think of an example in the last 10 to 15 years where a quarterback stayed on the same team and all of a sudden turned his career around in year 4. The only modern example I can think of is Daniel Jones last season, who isn't even a franchise quarterback. Alex Smith with the 49ers turned his career around in year 5, but those were the only 2 guys I could think of. Whether it's fair or not, the reality is that Fields has underperformed so far. He has a career 10-28 record, averages over 1 turnover per game, is still inconsistent, and wasn't even picked by this current regime. And speaking of that, the Bears fired 6 coaches this offseason on offense, 2 of which include their offensive coordinator Luke Getsy and their quarterback coach. If Fields remains with the Bears next season, it will be his 3rd new offense in 4 years. It would also be 3 different quarterback coaches in 4 years. From a financial standpoint, it's even more sensible to just draft a quarterback this year. With the rookie pay scale, the Bears would get 5 years of team control if they opted to go quarterback in this draft. Bryce Young, who went 1st overall in last year's class, makes an average of about $9.5 million per year over the next 4 seasons on that rookie contract. For the Bears, they have to think of the financial impact. Would they prefer Caleb Williams on a 4-year deal averaging about $9.5 to $10 million per year with a team option in year 5, or would they prefer the current layout for Justin Fields? And here's where it gets even more complicated. The Bears have until May 2nd to decide whether or not to exercise the 5th-year option on Justin Fields' contract. If the Bears were to pick up that option, Fields would have a projected cap hit of $21.9 million in 2025. It'd be quite the jump from his 2024 cap hit, which is only a little over $6 million. Unfortunately for the Bears and any other NFL team, if they were to keep Fields, this decision for the 5th-year option must be decided well before year 4 even begins for him. That in itself is a dangerous bet. We saw how consequential it was for the Giants when they declined the 5th-year option on Daniel Jones. That later forced their hand to reward Jones with a massive $160 million contract. Now forget financials, let's just compare Caleb Williams the player versus Justin Fields the player. Rather than just saying which one is better in my opinion, let's just break this down in every important category. Arm talent, I think it's Caleb Williams. He has a rare arm like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes in that regard. Justin Fields has a good arm, but it's not Caleb Williams level. Throwing on the run, Caleb Williams. We know Fields can do it, of course, but not many are as good at throwing on the run as Caleb Williams, so it's not a shot at Justin Fields. Pocket presence. It's close, but I slightly lean Caleb, but I understand if you want to say Justin Fields. Both of these quarterbacks are great at avoiding sacks and making plays out of nothing, but they also are guilty of holding onto the ball too long sometimes and causing their own sacks. Anticipation throws. For me, it's Caleb Williams. One of the things I don't love about Justin Fields is how he has to see somebody open before making a throw. He has gotten better with anticipation, but it's tough to get by like that. You can argue that Caleb is already more advanced in that area, and of course he's a few years younger and has never played in the NFL yet, although Caleb himself still needs some improvement with anticipation throws. Athleticism. For me, it's Justin Fields. You will not find many quarterbacks that are better athletes than Justin Fields. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are probably the only guys I would take over him in that regard, and even that could be up for debate. However, Caleb is still a really good athlete in his own right. Processing a defense. For me, it's Caleb Williams. For Justin Fields, one of the knocks on him coming out of Ohio State was his inability to process the game at a high level. And once again, while that's gotten better, it's still not where it needs to be. Accuracy. It's closer than most people would assume, but I still lean Caleb. On plays where Caleb Williams has lazy footwork and throws those fadeaway passes, he's no stranger to sailing throws. Justin Fields, though, ranked 27th in the NFL this year in on-target percentage. He's slightly improved as compared to 2022, but it's still not nearly enough. So in my opinion, I lean with Caleb in basically every category outside of athleticism and as a runner. And while there are some toss-ups in there, you have to remember that Caleb Williams is younger and has never played in the NFL yet. Now tie that in with the contract situation, and I think the Bears have their answer. They should be drafting Caleb Williams first overall. While some people have had the radical idea to keep Fields and draft Caleb Williams, I do not think it's realistic. You can probably pull that off in Madden or something, but it's just not real life. I just can't see Fields or even Caleb being okay with that. Neither guy is perfect, but one guy has played in the NFL for 3 years and is due a new contract in a year, and the other is 21 and just as good, if not better. To me, it's a no-brainer. Can Ryan Poles feasibly sell this fan base on passing on another #1 pick? They already passed on Stroud last year, which was fine because it was the right move to trade back, but if Fields struggles next year and either Caleb or Drake May look like franchise quarterbacks, it's going to be a bad look. It's a legacy draft for Ryan Poles in many aspects. There's still a loud minority of Bears fans that want to stick with Fields. There was even a game a couple of weeks ago when the Bears were home and almost the entire stadium was chanting, "We want Fields." If this draft does not go well for Ryan Poles, that's probably it for him. The good news is you can likely trade Fields to a team for a second or third round pick and maybe even another late round pick. There will be plenty of teams needing quarterback help, whether that's the Falcons, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Steelers, and possibly more. Yes, it'd be nice to trade the #1 pick again and gain an extraordinary amount of assets in consecutive years, but eventually the Bears have to get that quarterback position figured out. This franchise still has never had a 4,000-yard passer, and the last time they made the Super Bowl, they were quarterbacked by Rex Grossman. The time is now. Ryan Poles has to call his shots. And personally, I don't subscribe to the whole you have to build your roster and then draft the quarterback mindset. To me, it's outdated and very flawed. With that mindset, the Bengals should have passed on Burrow, the Jags should have passed on Lawrence, the Colts should have passed on Luck. If a great quarterback prospect is there, you take him, no questions asked. It's important to build the entire roster, but what's even more important is having an elite quarterback that can keep you in Super Bowl contention for a decade plus. That'll do it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I will talk to you guys next time.